Celestials, Race, Complete Story Part 2. The Celestials thought that with life and creation there must be death and destruction, so they created the exterminators to be that death and destruction. However, the exterminators turned against the Celestials who couldn't kill them, so they separated the universe into the multiverse and imprisoned and bonded them into space between the walls that separated realities. However, the Celestials didn't learn from their first mistake and created the Death Seed with the same purpose, but far more manageable. The exterminators were trapped in their prison for millennia, until the walls between realities began to crack. Frequently traveling and teleporting from reality to reality and world to world weakened the walls. Tears, cracks and fissures grew larger and larger until the exterminators were able to escape. AOA Nightcrawler and Dark Beast used the Dreaming Celestial to create a portal to their world of New Apocalypse. Unfortunately, this portal opened the rift between realities wide enough for the exterminators to pass through to Earth 295. When the exterminators emerged, they were greeted by the X-Men, the Transdimensional X-Men, and the Exterminated. One of the exterminators departed to Earth 616, where he drained the Dreaming Celestial, while the other two exterminators remained on Earth 295. One feeding off the rift and the other seeking out the power of Apocalypse in the Death Seed. Once again, as Tiamut was supposedly already dead by its own hand on Earth 616, celestial events become convoluted and almost mythological. Kong the Conqueror recovered Jarnporn from Baron Mordo's tomb in Brazil. Kong gave the axe to Uriel during his training to become the new Apocalypse. Uriel used the weapon to kill the Celestial Gardener outside the Star Core station as part of the Apocalypse Twins' plan to trick the Celestials into destroying Earth while they evacuated all of Earth's mutants to Planet X. Thor later retrieved the Jarnporn and used it to kill/destroy the normal space armor of Exitar the Executioner before it could destroy Earth. Whether this truly destroyed the Celestial, or merely shunted it back to wherever the Celestials truly live, as the Invisible Woman had previously done to help end the so-called Celestial Watcher War, is unknown. After Exitar's destruction, Sentry revealed to Wasp that he would take a great journey moving the celestial body far from Earth. Before leaving, he warned her that they must prepare themselves because the Celestials' wrath would be mighty. Among their many solutions to halt the incursions, the Illuminati asked Galactus to arrange a meeting with the Celestials so the group could ask them for help. However, during the meeting, the Celestials mysteriously vanished. The explanation for this event was that the Celestials were being attacked in every universe at the same time by the Beyonders, who after a long battle managed to kill them all. After Ulysses Kane foresaw the coming of a Celestial, called the Celestial Destructor, from another dimension, it appeared in New York City near Stark Tower, where it was confronted by the joint forces of the Avengers, Avengers Unity Division, New Avengers, Ultimates, A-Force, X-Men, New Adelans Inhumans, and other heroes including Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, Hellstorm, Shaman, Spider-Man, War Machine, Spider-Woman, Wolverine, Hulk, and Hercules. While most of the heroes were busy fighting the servitors, the magic users of the group cast a spell that returned the Celestial to its own dimension. As it turned out, not all of the Celestials were destroyed by the Beyonders. A handful of survivors managed to escape and hide out at the furthest edges of the universe within the deep folds of space-time. Unlike the other cosmic beings, the Celestials that were destroyed were apparently not brought back to life when the multiverse was restored. The surviving Celestials were confronted by Logos, the fusion of Lord Chaos, Master Order, and the In-Betweener. Logos believed himself to be the new judge of worlds, something the Celestials formerly did. Logos considered the Celestials to be unwanted competition as judges of worlds and thus destroyed the surviving Celestials, though he was told that nothing truly died by the Queen of Nevers, who secretly saved the one above all while Logos killed the other Celestials, making him the last Celestial. It was later revealed that Logos was being manipulated by the first firmament in a bid to return to its original position as everything that is eight. The Celestials were eventually returned to life as the fifth host by the Queen of Nevers to thwart the first firmament's attempt to take over the multiverse. Sgreb was eventually awakened in modern times when a team of archaeologists uncovered the underground cavern it was sealed in. The fallen shouted, "Summon the final host!" while killing the archaeologists. Later, Loki, the Asgardian god of mischief 16, released the fallen from its prison and used it to bring about the final host of dark celestials in order to wipe out Earth, arguing that the planet was ill-ridden as a result of the progenitor's arrival and death having altered the Earth's evolutionary trajectory billions of years prior. Before arriving to Earth, the Dark Celestials used the Horde to infect and kill every Celestial in existence. Their bodies were hurled to the Earth to herald the arrival of their murderers. During the Avengers' final stand against the Dark Celestials, the bodies of the felled Celestials were reanimated by the Horde. When the Avengers joined their energies to form a Gestalt Uni-Mind, they used its power to defeat the Horde, and it became dormant. The Celestials were freed from its influence, and they helped the Avengers take down the Dark Celestials. The Celestials usually resemble massive male, or sexless, armor-clad humanoids of enormous size, with most of them standing 2,000 feet, 610 meters, in height and some even larger. Exitar stands over 20,000 feet high. 47 Each varies in color and design, which is very elaborate in some individuals. Each has one head, 2 arms and 2 legs, indistinct features on their helmets sometimes exhibiting 2 eyes, sometimes more, sometimes none. The designs on their armor are of a practical nature and each serves a function of one kind or another. Arshame's formula of judgment on its thumb, for example. Many, but not all, also have great equipment on their backs or carry great staffs capable of breaking down and reconstructing all forms of energy and matter or lay waste of entire continents. It has been reported that the celestial bodies are modular, made up of thousands of varied objects and beings. It has also been reported that they may combine to create larger, more powerful amalgams and can animate severed limbs, and even their computerware is sentient. The Celestials have a variety of internal defenses, such as armored behemoths, jellyfish-like antibodies, and winged and tentacled creatures which swarm in great numbers and can fire powerful blasts from their one eye. Allegedly, no one has even seen a Celestial without armor. A theory from scientists is that they exist in hyperspace, while their armors are simply channels allowing them to interact in the regular plane of reality. On Earth 90266, it was stated that the armors worked on willpower and were controlled by thoughts. It was stated by the Celestial Madonna that Earth and many other worlds were implanted with a celestial egg/embryo at their center, gestating for millions of years before birthing and consuming the planet. Similar process was witnessed in Earth 9997 and other realities. This process of reproduction is seemingly the rule but not the only way Celestials come into being. The Celestial Madonna was herself carrying a Celestial, something she considered new/unique/forbidden. The process/cycle/function of replication/reproduction was assured to cause the mother's death, and required suitable nourishment, who could be found in Earth, the moon, causing their destruction, or the Sunday. The infant celestial, dubbed the Star Child, was stated to a variant celestial. For millions of years, the Black Galaxy was a universal curiosity, an area of space composed entirely of biological matter. In recent times, it was revealed to be the birth creche of a new celestial. A red celestial oversaw the process, using armored capsules to assemble the full armor of a new celestial. The bodies of Eric Masterson and Hercules were incorporated into this mixture. Also, a sphere of pure white energy became the center point for the Celestial's creation. When the alleged celestial slayer called Stellaris made a kamikaze run on the white sphere, her megaton impact triggered the final birthing process. The white sphere expanded to encompass the entire Black Galaxy, then contracted back to its original size, pulling the biomatter of the entire galaxy back into that point, leaving behind light years of completely empty space. The compressed bioverse of the sphere and the assembled celestial armor combined to produce a new and unnamed blue celestial. The Rigel Lien analyzer proffered that the Celestials may have created the Black Galaxy or merely commandeered it, and that the supposedly antagonistic Stellaris was both a necessary part of the birth process and encased in living armor identical to the Celestials. According to Verua's insight, the Celestials are Uniminds of entire planets clad in armors. That theory led her to create the pan-human Unimind, for it to be put by the young gods into an armor as the celestial Terran. It is unknown if that is true, though Macquarie expressed doubt and Legba hinted it wasn't true. On Earth 92131, the race now known as the M'Kraan developed individuals who could be referred as mutants. That species of cosmic mutants then evolved a step beyond mutants, becoming the Celestials. One of those, Kotus the Harvester, thought that mutants from other worlds and that they would eventually rise to replace his kind. All Celestials are linked to one another by quantum telepathy, meaning no matter where or when they are in communion with each other. The Celestials' agenda is ultimately unknown, and the exact purpose of the Celestials' genetic manipulation and responsibilities is unknown. Repeatedly returning to each world, the races in question are evaluated over a 50 Earth-year period, and should an experimented race fail by the Celestials' standards, Arishem the judge's judgment calls the coming of Exitar the Exterminator to the target world. Exitar, a celestial 10 times Arishem's own height, purifies the offending world of the race, or races, by destroying those non-life-affirming elements. Thor was on the planet Pangaea when this happened, and was told the issues at stake were too great for even an immortal to grasp. According to the Dreaming Celestial, the celestial race are the instruments of the teeming of life in their respective universes under the will of an entity known as the Fulcrum that serves as the mastering force behind the equilibrium of all creation. Planets populated by a viable base species possessing the requisite neurological potential are chosen for cultivation. 100 specimens are evolved into Eternals while another 100 specimens are turned into Deviants, with the former being created to be more powerful while latter being created to breed more efficiently and prodigiously. The Celestials then leave their specimens to their own devices, and after 19 cosmic cycles the tested planets are chosen for destruction. The aggregate energy from the base species is harvested and channeled to the Fulcrum. If the planet's aggregate energy signature is consistent with the Eternals, then the life force will be transferred to the Celestials before being sent to the Fulcrum. However, if the aggregate energy signature is consistent with the Deviants, then the life force will be transferred to the Horde, a malicious counterpart to the Celestials and the instrument of reaping on chosen planets under the order of the Fulcrum. Due to their imposing presence, all-concealing armor, and seeming indifference/omnipotence to those whom they judge, the Celestials have acquired the sobriquet of space gods used by many starfaring races. On their last evaluatory visit to Earth 616 in the Fourth Host, the Celestials wiped all memory of their existence from most of humanity. The only entities remaining aware of the Celestials' existence were the Asgardians, who actively opposed the Celestials' unrevealed motives, the other Pantheons, and Earth's Eternals and Deviants. In modern times, however, with the rise of superhumans, many superheroes rediscovered the existence of the Celestials. According to the visions of Kyle Richmond, and the Watcher's equipment, the Celestials came from the same universe as the Elders of the Universe. These beings would advance their natural evolution to such a state in which they would begin to lose all definition. In an attempt to maintain what little identity they had left, the Celestials would create giant suits of armor out of vibranium to cohabitate. The Celestials also lost the means to reproduce, and would soon find a very devastating way around this. By impregnating a planet with a portion of their essence, it would become an embryo that would gestate and grow into a new member of their race. The planet in question would also be injected with vibranium to form into a new shell for the newly born Celestial. As a form of protection of that growing Celestial, its parents would manipulate the DNA of a planet's dominant life form to gain super abilities and unknowingly act as antibodies, protecting the planet until the Celestial is born. Each race they manipulated would have 3 tiers of mutation. The first would be for each individual to manifest their own powers. These powers usually would manifest when triggered by a catalyst, radiation for example, and the powers would vary depending on a number of factors, usually a combination of the outside catalyst and the subject's subconscious image of themselves. The second tier would have every member of their race exhibit the same ability, and the third would be a total loss of identity. Those at this stage would be defined by what others around believed them to be. This was installed as a fail-safe. Should the Celestials ever have to quell a rebellion, it would be a matter of willing their wayward antipodes dead. The Celestials would soon overpopulate their home universe, causing its collapse and the event that would lead to its own creation. This event would lead to the birth of Galactus, who, unknown to most but the most cosmically aware, was actually an equalizer to ensure that the Celestials would never overpopulate the universe again by feeding on some of the planets they impregnate. In the early days of the new universe, the Watchers would be forced to maintain their pact of non-involvement by the Celestials after not acting to prevent the birth of Galactus, and then later interfering with an alien race which would then create atomic weapons that would destroy their world. The Celestials would then place a Watcher on a moon of each other worlds they impregnated. Forced to watch these worlds, the Watchers eventually would work to maintain the Celestials' propagation roles, and at least in the case of Uatu, Earth's Watcher, interfere with events on the planet when they threatened the Celestials' plans. Over the centuries, the Celestials would be responsible for manipulating the Kree, the Skrulls, the Asgardians, and many more. The Earth became subject to one of the Celestials' propagations during the time of the dinosaurs. Removing a portion of the Earth to create the Moon, the Celestials were responsible for the dinosaurs' extinction. They would place Uatu on Earth's moon. Next, the Celestials would manipulate the DNA of mankind. However, some tribes of humans would escape the Celestials' manipulations, such as the Moon tribe. The Celestials would create the Deviants and the Eternals to keep the human race in check until they themselves would begin mutating with special powers due to their own natural evolution. The Celestials' involvement in the universe since is presumably the same as that of Earth 616. In recent times, Reed Richards had succeeded in converting Galactus into a star, thus throwing off the universal balance, and being forced to work with the High Evolutionary and the Silver Surfer to advance his son Franklin's mutation to the third tier and convince him that he is Galactus in order to restore that balance. When the entire human race was mutated by the release of the Turigen mist in Earth's atmosphere, it sped up the natural process of the planet's evolution. The Celestials would come to Earth in order to terminate the project, however they would get opposition by the new Galactus, who would fight them off until they retreated. Galactus would then kill the Celestial growing in Earth's core, but sparing the planet. It would cause the mass of the planet to change and throw its axis off, but this too in time would be corrected. Since then, the Celestials have had no contact with Earth, nor are their current activities known. However, X-51 had gathered a group of heralds from other realities for the purpose of informing the Earths of each reality of the potential danger of the Celestials. The Celestials' physical forms are almost completely lacking in definition, and are probably an energy base of some kind. In order to maintain individuality, they have constructed giant suits of armor to inhabit. These suits of armor are constructed out of vibranium. They are an alien race that advanced its natural evolution to a point in which their species almost lost all sense of identity. In order to maintain individuality, they would construct suits of armor to live in. Impregnating planets with their essence, they would reproduce. This brought upon the end of the previous universe. The Celestials survived the death of the old universe and have started their procreation anew. The Watchers were revealed to have been enslaved by the Celestials as guardians of unborn Celestials which existed in certain planets such as Earth.